Hi everyone, and welcome to this episode of Peace Talks. This is a series where we catch up with the bands and the artists that are coming to play for us at the Marr in Worcester. And I'm delighted today to be joined by Louis Hamilton Foad, who is the drummer and founder of Impossible Conversations that will be coming up on Thursday, the 13th of February. So, hi Louis, and thanks so much for joining us today.
Hey man, it's all good. Excited to be doing it and playing the gig. We're all hyped up and yeah, man, we're ready for it.
So it's I think we normally sort of jumping straight into your kind of your sort of history in music and that, and you've got quite a very interesting history and sort of heritage in the family because I think you just turned 21, haven't you?
Yeah, I just turned 21 last Saturday.
We'll
Yeah,
talk about that because that was quite a special birthday, I think, for
yeah, it
you.
was.
That happened there, but yeah. So tell us a bit about your kind of family and the background. Obviously, your grandfather's a very important person in Birmingham jazz.
Yeah, so I come from quite a musical background. As you said, my granddad, Andy Hamilton, was a Jamaican saxophonist and he's quite contributed a lot um to the Birmingham like jazz scene when he came over. And then my dad is also a musician. He's guitarist for the band called the Au Pairs, which is like a post-punk band. And yeah, so quite a big music's basically been like I've been there since day one, more or less. So yeah.
That's great. Yeah, and I know Andy started up the jazz club at it was Bearwood Corks, I think it
Yeah, it
started
was
up, wasn't
Bearwood.
it?
It was Bearwood Corks, and yeah, he used to do that up until his death, and then my mom and dad took it over and renamed it to the Silvershine Jazz Club after one of his albums, which is called Silvershine. And then they ran it for about they've been running it for like 13, 14 years. Just
Yeah, because
yeah,
it ran all the way up to I think it was November was the last gig last year,
yeah,
wasn't
yeah,
it?
yeah.
Because it changed. You had to. It's changed venues a couple of times, isn't it?
Yeah, unfortunately, we had to move from the Corks because they had some things going on, so we had to leave. So it's quite sad, like leaving, but there's a lot of memories like made there, and
Mm,
it was actually the first stage I ever played on, so it's quite
fantastic.
it holds like a very special place in my heart. And the band, we actually recorded 1958 on the stage on that stage, and which is the version which is released on all streaming platforms.
Right.
So
Okay.
when we play that song, it's always like that's where we recorded that. So always it's a special place. So yeah.
Brilliant. And is it I spoke briefly to your dad because you were down at the Jazz Kaiser gig a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah,
And I
man.
think so. Is there plans to try and find a new venue and keep it going?
Yeah, yeah, we're currently at the Bear, which is just down the road from in Bearwood. And we've been doing the sessions there, and then we took a break at Christmas and we're just getting it back up and running again. So yeah, but it's really getting used to like the adjustment of like moving venues is always like hard. But
Mm.
yeah, man, it's been vibes. We've really enjoyed it. My parents put a lot of effort into like really making the music work because they're so passionate about like just music in general and especially jazz. So yeah,
Yeah. No, that's great. And I think another contribution as well from your granddad was the note benders.
yeah,
And I
yeah,
think
yeah,
that's now sort of funded or managed through the a trust, the Andy Hamilton Trust. But yeah,
yeah, yeah,
tell us a
yeah.
bit about that program because I think I believe Romana Campbell, who was going to be playing at the end of
Yeah,
February, I think
Romana was
she was involved in it as well.
yeah. Yeah, she was involved in the Note Benders. There's been quite a lot of Birmingham like musicians in the Note Benders. I was taught through the Blue Notes, which was my granddad's band. Same with Gabs. Me and Gabs
Right,
basically we've known each other from like birth, so we've grown up together, like playing with the note benders and or the Blue Notes, I mean,
right.
and yeah, it's just like yeah, it's just cool, like just the different like it's what am I trying to say? Just like yeah, it's just like such a community with like the different. You've got different age ranges in the note benders.
Yeah,
You've got like,
yeah.
which is really cool because you don't normally find that with a lot of bands. You've got like teenagers playing with some like older musicians, so you get a cool contrast with like the music, which is really cool. Which is what my granddad like was great at. He was a great teacher
Hmm.
and like taught and had a load of passion into teaching like any age group. So it's like great to see like just a contrast in like all the different age groups. And it was like the same with the my granddad's band with the Blue Notes. Like when I when me and Gabs started playing with the Blue Notes, you'd have like me and Gabs who are like I don't know like 12, 11, 12 playing with Vic who would have been like in his 70s, which
Right.
was like amazing because like he's like one of the best jazz singers I've ever heard.
Hmm.
And like learning from all these guys was just like so incredible, and it taught me a lot in like learning to play like drums and not just being like just a drummer that I hit drums, like really paying attention to like structure and like the music and what's happening in a song,
Yeah.
which I think which is the same for Gabs as well. We basically shared a lot of the same things, which is really cool.
Excellent. And was it always drums from the start?
Yeah, more or less. I play like a bit of guitar and a bit of piano, but drums is number one. So
And
well,
was there anything particular that sort of moment you thought, that's why drums is for me? Was it
I don't know,
being
because
a particular drummer or something?
ever since I was a baby, people have just bought me like just drums. So I must have just like given off like drum vibe, I guess. But like I've been playing drums for so like I can't I don't even remember like I've been hitting drums since day one. Like my parents said when I was first born. I was a week old when I went to my first gig to see my granddad play the drum, and I was always just like tapping away and like I've always been like fascinated in drums. But yeah, it's number one instrument in my opinion. But yeah,
Cool. No, that's
yeah,
great.
man.
And then I guess through the club as well, you probably had some opportunities because I know you probably I've not been down to that club myself. I've not been able to get there because I think
Mm,
it used to run on a Thursday, which clashed with mine.
yeah,
So
yeah.
I wasn't able to get up. But I guess you've had the opportunity as well to play there, sort of through house band stuff. Did they do a jam as well?
Yeah,
There.
we always used to do so it'd be the Blue Notes and then second half we'd do a jam, so we get like loads of different musicians playing. Like you get like it was really cool like playing we because my parents carried on that different age group of in the
Mm,
jams. You get like some maybe a 7-year-old play guitar or like a 50-year-old just get up and sing. So it's always cool just getting other people to like play with the band, and sometimes they'd be nervous but we'd be like come on, just try it out. We're not gonna criticize you or anything, or like just
mm.
just come and just come and play with us. So it's always been like a vibe, and I think like doing all these jam sessions really helped like me play like get my confidence up with playing with other musicians
Yeah.
because I was quite a shy kid growing up,
Mhm.
but when I first like got on stage to play, it just something happened and it just changed. Like the first time I ever played at the club, I remember one of the drummers didn't turn up and my parents was just like, Louis, you've got to help us and get up. and I was like, oh no, I can't do it, and I was like, I can't do this. But I managed to just like convince myself and be like, boom, I need to do this. So I
Yeah,
got up, and then I've basically loved it
yeah.
since. So yeah, man.
Ah, that's grand. So, yeah, coming on to your 21st birthday, so that was quite a special happening there, wasn't it? Tell us
Yeah,
about
man.
what that was about then. Come on.
Yeah, so we got to premiere Soweto Kinch's soundtrack to the Apocalypse at the South Bank Centre. Um, it's part of like a three-part trilogy. So he done Black Peril, and then White Juju, and then soundtrack to the Apocalypse. And yeah, man, it was a really cool day because like even though obviously it was my birthday as well, but like I've never really like had a birthday that really like I'll remember this one for like ever because it
Mm,
was like such a special day, and it was like working with like all these people working with Soweto, like Jay Phelps, all the musicians involved. It was just like such an experience, and like playing at the South. I've never played at the South Bank Centre, so like playing there for the first time was like really cool. Like it was a sold out show, so like the energy was there, and it's
yeah.
a great vibe, and it was
No,
great
that's
music. It's really cool.
yeah. And I think you performed also with him with the Birmingham Symphony Orchestra, weren't it? The White Juju project.
Yeah. We performed with the CBSO in October. Yeah, in October, and that was just like a totally different experience. Like that was my first time playing with an orchestra, and I was just like, whoa! Like during rehearsals, I was like, wow, this is insane. Like just you never really like I've watched like orchestras before, but
Mm,
being on stage and like being involved in that whole like process was just like incredible. Like the music was like so powerful, and yeah, it was just a different experience from like normally playing like a little trio gig or something. And it's like it's crazy like going from like playing trio gigs to then going to like orchestra stuff. But yeah, man, it was a really cool vibe. I really enjoyed it. So yeah.
excellent. And yeah, like you say, what a way to celebrate your 21st.
Yeah, man, it would definitely be one that I'll remember for a long time. Couldn't think of a better way to really celebrate it. Really would then play my drums obviously and a gig. But yeah,
Yeah.
it was vibes.
So it's always fascinating to when I get the opportunity to talk to younger musicians that are sort of emerging into the music industry, in the
Mm,
quarter of a way through the 21st century now, and very different to the time when your dad was in the au pairs and your granddad was
yeah.
doing his thing. Um, I was going to say a couple of things. Is it? I've only known you, or so I actually I think the first time I came across you was with at the Blue Piano because I know Jerry who runs the
Yeah.
program in there, and she said, "Oh, you got to come down and see this band. They're fantastic." So yeah, so I think that's the first time I met you. But I've only known you sort of from jazz. Is it primarily jazz that you do? Are you involved in other projects in other genres? Is there
Yeah,
stuff you
I
like?
Yeah, I tend to like listen to everything. Like I do love jazz, but I also love like I love reggae stuff. I do like a bit of I like rock. I'm currently working with like a country singer-songwriter at the moment, helping
Hmm.
her produce some music because I'm also a sound engineer as well.
Right.
But yeah, I just love music in general. My playlist on my phone is like just different. It's like you've got like I don't know R&B, you got rock, reggae, jazz. It's just like everything really. I love just music in general, just the different sounds and like feelings you get from just different types of genres is like really cool to me, and I just love listening and discovering new music in general.
Mm.
But yeah, it's vibes.
Yeah, and you mentioned you're a sound engineer as well, and that's another aspect of kind of um, it's I know from getting trying to book artists and get gigs and stuff like that, and then trying to fill a room and
Mm.
make that viable. And you and your parents have obviously got experience of running a club and things like that.
Yeah, yeah.
And the ability to actually make a living out of the art and the stuff that you're producing. What's your kind of take on that? Because I know a lot of people I speak to, musicians do teaching to sort of keep it going, and you're doing the sound engineer and that. So do where do you see the balance, and do you get the opportunity to be as creative as you'd
Mm.
like to be? Is it or is it does the financial things constrain the creativity?
Yeah, it's weird because when I was in like year 11 and going into sixth form, it was like choosing, do I want to like pursue music and really go for it, which was like yes. But obviously there's not that much money in like music, like streaming. You barely get anything.
Yeah.
So, but I didn't want to get a job that was outside of music. I wanted to stay in music. So during sixth form I chose to study music production. So I got to do sound engineering, and yeah, I took up doing that, and then yeah, it's I just mainly flip between the two, but it's also like really interesting working with, like, taking a break is just being an artist and working for an artist. You get
Right.
like a totally different vibe seeing like how you want to make their vision like portray for their music. And because I mainly do live, I work at BIM, which is
Right.
a university doing like live sound, and I find it like really cool because I work with like loads of bands, just portraying, like, trying to get over their music and how they want how they want to how they want the audience to react to it. So I find it always like really interesting, but I also try and keep like myself really busy with also drumming so that I'm not doing just sound
Yeah.
engineering. I like to flip between the two and like mainly do my drumming, but then also like I work at the same time. Like at the club we didn't have a sound engineer.
Mm.
So it'd be like me on stage and then the mixing desk next to me. So I'd be like drumming and then like also mixing
Yeah,
at
yeah,
the same time, which I thought was always like funny. But yeah, man, it's been I just yeah, I tend to like stay in music, and like there's so many jobs that help music really like go for it. And I had the opportunity to do a few like stagehand jobs at Mosley Jazz, helping like the stage managers,
right.
like artists and that. And I thought like that was a really cool experience because sometimes you don't really realize that these guys are like there from like 7 in the morning setting all of this for you, and you just got to do a 30-minute set. But these
Mm.
guys are working like day in, day out to do all of this. So I find it always interesting, and it always like it's always in my head being like, yo, you just gotta like you gotta respect the people around you because they do a lot to help your vision like come through to the audience.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, I just flip between the two of sound engineering and drumming, but I really love it. I don't think I could really see myself doing anything apart from music. I think music's always been number one.
Yeah. And like you say, you're around musicians and music all the time in
Yeah,
that
exactly.
space. So it's a great way to learn and pick stuff up, isn't it?
Exactly. Yeah. It's great working with like different levels of people, and like I'm constantly like always learning new stuff like that I could then apply to like the band's music, like Soweto just he uses a synthesizer called a 404, which is like a
Yeah.
little
Right.
sampler thing. and it's such a cool piece of equipment. I was like, oh man, that would be cool to incorporate with some of Impossible Conversations stuff. So yeah, man, I'm always like looking for like new things and inspiration to just like push myself and the band to
Yeah.
like get it to like really, really getting there and like making the music amazing. So yeah,
Cool. And
that's really cool.
another area that I always like to explore as well, especially with younger musicians, is AI and kind of where that's going and what your thoughts are on that. I've been following. There's a consultation at the moment with the Intellectual Property Office and the government going through copyright and AI because um, obviously a lot of the tech companies want to start scraping lots of content that's out there. And of course,
Yeah, man.
everyone's for the last 10 years, 20 years have been told you've got to get content out there, you've got to get content out there.
Yeah, man.
And it's kind of yeah, where does it sit as you know the UK is wants to kind of become attractive to companies to invest in development of AI. And at the same time, we've got a fantastic creative arts industry, and it's as you know as much as you got the situation where, like you're saying, for platforms like streaming, the way we consume music today is
Yeah.
quite, I think, has become quite damaging. Got a generation of people that have never had to pay for music. If they didn't want to, and so that sort of concept that it's free, and then the fact that the content that's been created before, music that's been created, writing, film, visual arts and all that kind of stuff is being used to produce stuff artificially. So I think, yeah, it's something I'm following quite closely, and obviously the protection of the copyright is the important thing. I think at the moment it's
Yeah,
leaning to the
definitely.
sort of opt out sort of pathway where artists have to opt out and say, no, I don't want you using my stuff, which is actually quite difficult to do, and
Yeah, yeah.
doesn't really give much responsibility to the tech companies. But I don't want to see it as all doom and gloom, because I know you would have worked, with your sound engineering and everything else that you've done in your day-to-day life. Now, it's encroaching. AI is encroaching on all sorts of stuff. So, yeah, just what's your take on it, and kind of where do you see it going in the next? I mean, I would say in the next 10 years, but it's going at such a pace. It's like 5 years. Where will
Yeah,
we?
it's
You
it's
know?
it's it's going pretty fast. Like it's crazy because it's kind of taken off like the past few years. Like I notice you can do a lot with AI and it's like crazy. Like we have the door that I use to produce all my music has a feature where you can just take a track, you can take a song, and you can split the stems and you can get separate vocals, you can get
Yeah,
separate drums, and it's just like crazy because it's like so clean as well, and it's
yeah.
like you couldn't have like dreamed of doing stuff like that because normally you'd have to ask the artist,
To
can I
record it
have the
separately.
stems
Yeah,
if you want to do a cover, but you don't need to do that now. You've got free like chat, you got like chat GPT and stuff like that and other AI resources that literally Moises is one which
mm.
is allows you to do the stem splitting stuff, and it's just like crazy like what you can do with it. But it can be used for some advantages as well, but it's just like yeah, it's just crazy where like the stuff it can do and like the stuff it can generate and like you can I even like on Apple Music you can like split the vocals so you can just hear instrumental tracks. Like that's
Mm.
just like insane.
Yeah.
And like yeah, man. I just don't know to be honest where it is. It's going fast though. Like
And I think that's
what you can
I,
do with it.
yeah. I think the protection of the creative industries in the UK, for
Yeah.
first and foremost in the UK, is what I think it needs a voice and a strong voice because the tech voice is very strong and very
Yeah,
loud.
yeah, yeah.
And because it's going so fast, I think unless you've got a strong voice representing that the creative industries, um, it's yeah, it'll get railroaded, and things will be made a lot worse. I don't want to doom and gloom because it's
Nah,
clever
man.
tech, um,
It's true.
and it does have as an example. You were saying the splitting of stuff. So I use that in a probably an unusual situation. I did a friend of mine did some video testimonials after one of the gigs. He
Yeah.
went around with his phone and just got people to say just 2 or 3 seconds. Oh, just been down to Music Spoken here. It's fantastic and that.
Cool, cool.
And he went around and recorded it, and it got back, and then we didn't realise that there was background music playing while they were doing it, so you couldn't really hear what they were saying.
Mm.
And I tried that, and I put it through one of those processors online. You just upload it, and it splits it out into
Yeah,
music
yeah,
and
yeah.
vocals. Well, normally you do it to get the music and to get an instrument. But what I wanted to do was remove the vocals of someone speaking, and I wondered whether it would work because it wasn't sort of musical vocals; it was just speech, and it worked perfectly. Yeah, so it just removed all the background
It's
noise, and I could
crazy.
hear this conversation. So yeah, if you look at any of the
Yeah, it's
any of
mad.
the videos on our YouTube channel where there's people doing the testimonials at the end and that, I use that quite a bit just to strip out the background music so you can hear the conversation. So there are things like that are really useful. And another thing
Mm.
where it made a big difference to my own time was I use Final Cut Pro on
Oh yeah, yeah,
specifically
yeah.
on the iPad. I don't know if the feature exists on the main thing, but I don't know if you know. I record the shows in four different cameras, so we have 3 GoPros on the stage and then one at the back.
Yeah.
And I used to use iMovie, and it was a real pain to sort of splice in the different angles, and you had to line them up and that.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
there's a
yeah.
fantastic feature on Final Cut Pro. You can take up to 4 streams. It will automatically sync them, and then you just run it, and you can kind of switch camera angles as it's playing, and
That's
then you
true.
can go in and fine tune it. And I used what used to take me 4 or 5 hours to produce a 5 minute video. I can now do in an hour and a half or something like that.
Yeah.
So there are there are things there that it's very useful and it's very clever. But I think at the point where it's sort of generative stuff and it's producing art
Mm.
that people are going to then consume instead of consuming stuff that's being produced by a human.
Yeah.
That's where it starts to worry me. And in its to start with, it's clever, and you see these horrendous sort of hallucinogenic images, with people with 6 toes and things like that. You could,
Yeah.
but of course, it will get better. And the other thing I think as well is that for a lot, especially in music, and something that I've discovered from running Music Spoken here is the majority of people don't care about the quality of music. For a lot of people, it's just something that's on in the background. They don't really pay attention to it, or if it's familiar,
Yeah.
if it, oh yeah, that sounds, you get some pop artists, and it's always happened all the way through, any particular sort of genre or period of time where things sound very similar. You have a sound of the 80s, you have a sound of the 60s and stuff like that. So
Yeah.
that sort of familiarity. But to create something new, I think takes the cultural, the societal aspects of a time and place and everything else. And yeah, I don't see that a machine, a machine would ever or should ever be doing any of that because art is just such a human,
The human
so
thing.
a
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
reflection and expression of existence, not so, on the one hand, it's kind of clever stuff, but I really hope, and I think, as I've said a couple of times on this series. I think the live performance, actually going to a gig and seeing people sit down and play, and actually having that interaction as well with the audience, and it's a community thing. You're coming together to listen to it and
Yeah.
experience it. I think that will become increasingly more valuable.
Yeah, 100%. I look, yeah, you can't replicate going to a live gig and like getting that feeling. Like I just love checking out whenever like my parents are like, "Yo, do you want to go to a gig?" And I'll be like, "Yeah." But the gig will be in London and we'll just be like, "Let's just do it." And it's just like it's always like just such a cool vibe, just the live environment, like which is why I mainly do live engineering because compared to the studio stuff, I find like in live it's like you've got one shot
Mm,
and you can't go back,
yeah,
and it's just you're in the moment and like the adrenaline's rushing. I love the experience, and it's the same with gigs, man. Every time like you get on stage, I was so nervous last Saturday, like before getting on stage,
yeah,
because it's just like that adrenaline being like, "Oh, okay, I need to remember the songs, the form, do I do this, that?" But then you get on stage and that first you play the first song and then you just ease and then the whole show
yeah.
goes finishes in like 2 seconds and then you're
It's
like
over
wish,
already.
oh, I was like, damn it, man. I wanna get back on stage again. Like after
Yeah.
I got off stage last Saturday, I was like, yo, I can do another set right now. Let's just go back on stage. But yeah, man, you can never I don't think you'll ever be able to replicate that live feeling. Like I love feeling like subs hitting me right in my chest and like my body literally
Mm,
vibrating. Like it's such a great feeling. Like I went to see Fontaines DC, who are a
mhm,
really cool band that in London, and like the opening song had like just this energy and it was just like so raw and like just aggressive and in the moment, and you just can't replicate that at all. Like even like in the studio, because the studio you've got so much time to do the retakes, you kind of lose that like rawness and like energy sometimes. I that which is why mainly when we record stuff with the band, I kind of like doing live recordings because it's like so in the moment, like
yeah,
with the solos are just like what's ever on our minds, and
yeah.
so it you never lose that feeling. But yeah, AI, man, it's kind of scary, just like the stuff you can do with it. But yeah, it can be used. Like I do use like the stem splitting stuff as well,
Mm,
like when I'm struggling to like get uh I'm getting bleed from like I don't know, a few things and it helps. So
yeah,
it's
yeah.
weird, but I don't know. Like I saw when it was first like taken off, there was like there was a big uh song that was released. I can't remember what it was. I think it was like with Drake or someone, but it was AI generated
Oh, right, yeah,
and
generate
people
his
were like,
voice. Yeah, yeah.
yeah, people were like, yo, that sounds like Drake. But then there was like a whole lawsuit and they got the song taken down.
Mm,
So it kind of can like really damage an artist's like career and all that. So it's weird because it can be useful, but then it can be quite dangerous. So
mm.
I don't know, man. I guess we'll just have to
Well,
find out.
let's move on from that. It's good to
Yeah,
get your
man.
thoughts, but let's talk about Impossible Conversations then. The band.
Yeah, man.
First question: is there anything behind the name?
It's weird because my mom got me a book that was called How to Have an Impossible Conversation.
Right, yeah.
And I was
I
like,
think
man,
I've
that's a really cool name. Just, just, just a cool phrase. And I was like, hmm, maybe I remember because the reason I called it that, the first gig we done, um, was in 2022 at the Silvershine,
right.
and I didn't have a name for the band then. The we're doing like all the prep for the website, And Mum was like, "You need to name the band, so we can release it on socials." And I was
Yeah,
like, I don't know, maybe Impossible Conversations. After like seeing the book and like reading
yeah,
it, so it's just like I just went with the name. So
cool.
I thought it was just
That's
a cool name.
grand.
Yeah,
Um,
man.
and so yeah, you've had a couple of gigs last year. You played at the Mostly Jazz Funk and Soul Festival last year. I've seen you a
Yeah,
couple of
man.
times over at the Blue Note. Sorry, Blue Piano, not Blue Note. And then you've got obviously the gig with us at the Mars Bar on Thursday, and then I think you've got Peggy's Skylight coming up, and
Yeah, we're playing Peggy's
what?
in March, and then we're then doing Matt and Fred's. Then
Oh, cool, in Manchester, though, isn't it?
we're going back to the, yeah, that's Manchester. Then we're doing back to the Blue Piano, and then I think we got some other ones, and then we're doing one in April in Cambridge, which should be really cool. So we're doing a lot more gigs
Brilliant.
this year. I really wanted to like expand the band outside of Birmingham to get
Yeah.
like more notice and just like a different vibe, because I tend to go to like a lot of jam sessions
Hmm.
outside of Birmingham just to see like the different scene. And like Nottingham's a really cool scene with Peggy's. I always go down to they have a jam at like the end of the month that
Mm.
I always go down to, and it's just like always a cool vibe. But yeah, man, we've got quite a few gigs. I'm quite excited for them. They should be cool. So it should be vibes, man.
Excellent. So I think we've just got a couple of minutes left. So yeah,
All
just
right, cool.
introduce us to the band. Tell us about who's coming up and kind of what you're going to be playing.
Cool, man. So we've got Gabriel Mann on trumpet. We've got Ben Carter on sax. We've got Alex Smith on keys, and Sam Sharp on bass, and then myself on drums. And our vibe is quite like Kenny Garrett, Kamasi Washington kind of vibe, like quite like up tempo kind of stuff.
Mm.
And then we'll be playing some new originals. We're currently writing some new originals that should be released later this year, so that should be exciting. So we'll be playing some of those next Thursday, so you'll be able to hear some of those. But yeah, man, we're really excited to be playing. It's going to be a great one. So yeah, man, it's going to be cool.
Excellent. Indeed, it is. Indeed, it is. And
Yeah,
we'll try and get the Mars bar full again, like it was 3 weeks ago. It's
yeah, man.
anyone who's watching who was down for that. Thank you. We've had some great support to start this year out. So keep it going. Keep it going. If you're watching this, come down on Thursday the 13th. And you'll be able to see Louis and Impossible Conversations, bashing
Yeah,
out
man.
some new songs and some covers and reworks and things. They've got a great set I've seen a couple of times before, so I'm looking forward to hearing some new stuff. So
Yeah, man.
really, really excited to have you down. Thanks so much for your time today, Louis. It's been great chatting with you, and
Yeah, man. You
we'll
too, man.
see you on Thursday.
Cool, man. Cool. Catch you soon.
Cheers, dude.